Story is king. You might have a really, really great message. You might have a really, really great idea, but if you don't have a story that can convey it, if you have no means of getting it across, what good is it? For example, Harriet Beecher Stowe really wanted to draw attention to the evils of slavery in the southern states and the life that slaves had to go through. Well, she could just call a town meeting and stand up and say all these awful things and go on a lecture series and a tour and, ooh, wow, that's too bad. Next. Instead, she sat down and she wrote what became an American classic, Uncle Tom's Cabin. And it was this, giving the story of, Simon Legree and Uncle Tom and, all the characters that were in there and the life that they had to lead and how dehumanizing and oppressive it was. That story conveyed the idea of how bad slavery was. That did more than any article or 100 articles by abolitionists or speeches by anybody else, because when you take a story, a person can make it their own. In fact, it had such an influence in the North in the years before the Civil War that when Abraham Lincoln finally had a chance to meet her and was introduced to her, he says, "Oh, is this the little woman who wrote that book that started this big war?" He wasn't being facetious. If you want to make a change, tell a story. That's why Aesop had the fables. He could get an idea across in a story because you can personalize that. That's why storytellers in early civilizations were so important. They preserved history, they preserved the teachings, they preserved the values, they preserved the lessons that brought it along. In fact, that's one of the reasons that I like history so much, because what's the last part of that word? Story. Everybody else could get off in learning dates and times and places. I wanted to learn people. I wanted to learn reasons. I wanted to learn experiences. And that was what I did. And it was great. And it was fun, and it is why I still love history to this day. One of these days, I might decide to get bold enough to try a work of historical fiction, because I love history that much, because I love the story. So, you want to make a difference? Learn how to tell a story. You want to appreciate a difference being made? Learn to read a story. Either way, story is king.